Say yes every day to the world and to your heart. Open up your eyes and let your spirit start. Say yes to the dreams you hold inside. Let your soul be your guide.
Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Wednesday Wisdom. We are so pleased that we have a special guest with us today, the incredible and amazing Julie Yarbrough. She is the broker owner at Empire Home Loans. First off, Julie, thank you so much for joining us. I've known Julie for a while, but I got to spend time with her at a conference last year and immediately just fell in love with her insights, her knowledge, her wisdom, her personality is just absolutely incredible. So, Julie, again, thank you for spending some time with us. And on Wednesday Wisdom, we like to kind of go into the past, how it's applied to the present, and then a little bit of advice for our audience. So, our first question is, please share with us, what was an amazing, great piece of advice that you received? And please give the shout out of who was it that gave you that great piece of advice?
Thank you for having me, number one, and thank you for asking such a great question. I was in my 20s and I saw my county manager, Mr. Jay Robertson in the Bay Area, speak, and his speech, and hopefully I don't offend anybody, was called "Leave Your Bag of Shit Outside." And that was the title of the speech. So his speech was around leaving your personal bag of outside before you walk in to your workday, and do not truck that in and spread it along with your coworkers, right? And in my 20s, I thought, the way he left a lasting impression on me was the whole entire audience was 200 people. Everybody had a little lunch bag, and they all opened up their lunch bag and they had a crisp $100 bill. And what he said was, I hope that this impresses upon you how important it is to leave your bag of shit outside, right? Which it did, because at 53 now I'm like, oh my God, one of the best pieces of advice ever, right? Leave that at home, check in, get into your business every day, right? And be fully present without spreading, everybody's got something, right? So that to me was just a brilliant piece of wisdom that I still use to this day.
What an incredible piece of advice, first off, right? And how powerful that years later, right? We're still having this conversation of how powerful that is. But I really need to go a little further on this, because I can certainly apply that to when you and I were that age. But now I'm thinking to myself, what the heck do we do with remote work now?
Right?
Where
Right?
people can't necessarily, because we used to say, when you walk into this door and you come into this building, you better leave that, on the doorstep. But what about now that people aren't even leaving their homes? What's your piece of advice, or what do you think we should kind of
All right.
share with our audience?
I'm going to tell you what I do, and it's called, this is alongside of this. People are going to have an opinion of me, but it's called the morning dump.
Okay.
And it's in my journal, by the way, and it's 10 minutes of free writing. And it's called the morning dump, and you're dumping it into your journal, but I'm leaving it in my journal and I'm closing the door. And I do this. I do Miracle Morning. I don't know what everybody else does, but to me, to give to all my salespeople every day, I better have it to give. And I have to give it to myself first, right? But it's just clearing your space. So I free write every single morning, and then I close it. And I can revisit it later, but it's in that safe journal for me. So that's what I do to separate. I'm in my home office today because I've got a girl to pick up later. So on those days I work from my home office. And so that's how I separate it.
Wow. I love that. And that really is great advice, because listen, we've all kind of evolved, right? Some people are doing a hybrid, some people are 100% remote, and you've seen this controversy of the pluses and the minuses and whatever. But regardless, to your point, there has to be some type of separation, whether you're getting in the car and you're driving to an office and walking into that building, or you're going into a separate area in your home and you're opening the door. You have to have that separation. So that morning dump, I love that. What an interesting name, Julie. Only you would have that name. But what a great concept, because you're kind of allowing that to flow out and put it, on pen to paper. And I also like that. I'm kind of old school with that,
Me too.
where yes, I have my iPad right here
Yeah,
and I've got all the digital stuff, but there is something about
there is.
getting it out. It's like it
I
leaves
mean,
your fingers, right?
yes, I mean, old school, that's what we learned on,
Mm,
right? Yes, and
yes.
giving yourself the freedom to freely express. Like, if not, it's going to come out some way or another. You're going to share it with somebody, you're going to eat it, you're going to drink
Yeah.
it, whatever. Like, I was eating it and drinking it for a long time, so I really needed to channel releasing it, and that
Mm,
was for me writing it in a place that nobody is going to read
yeah.
it. It's the other
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. What do you do with those notes? Like, do you actually have like
I
journals?
do.
Like,
I mean, I
oh,
have a 15-year-old daughter who
yeah.
wants to look at everything. And so I actually put it in a little zip up, fireproof safe. And I do it for myself because if I don't, I won't get it out freely.
Yeah.
I want to write it as if nobody's ever reading it. That's my personal time and my
Yep.
personal thoughts. And some of them are ugly.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, we get in our own way, we get vulnerable. I get scared every day. I've
Sure.
salespeople that get shocked about, sometimes I'm like, shit, can I do this today with the sheets over my head? Can I do
Yeah.
this? This mortgage business we were talking about earlier, it's tough. And so
Ah,
you gotta muster it, right? So sometimes some of the uglies are gonna come out, but it's out. It's out of my space then. And then I get to go create, right? So
oof.
for me, I'm just moving. I've learned really well to move the energy. Yeah,
Wow, that's powerful. All
yeah.
right, so now my next question generally is how do you take that advice and apply it, which we've covered a little, so I want to go a different direction.
Mhm.
What do you do when you have a team member, you have a salesperson, you have someone that you're working with that hasn't left the baggage
Mhm.
behind before coming into their day? How do you deal with that? What would be your advice to someone that's kind of dealing with that Nelly, that negative Nancy, or dealing with that guy that's just really angry over what happened the night before?
So here's the thing. I let somebody express for a couple minutes and then I'm always watching. Anybody who's worked with me or for me knows I'm a floor watcher, and I'm a very big proponent of checking your energy before you walk in a door, because it's
Hmm,
my job to lift that energy for the people around me, and I feel like it's their job as well to meet me in that way. So if somebody's struggling, which, listen, we've had
yeah,
big loans and the underwriter, and then I'll give them a couple minutes, and I will invite them to take a walk around the building, to be honest with you. So I did a lot of work with Tony Robbins and
yep.
moving the
I
energy, right,
agree with that.
creates new motion, right? Creates new emotion. And I lost 100 pounds. The only way I've done it is moving the energy. You have to move it. You have to, or it's going to sit with you, and you're either going to suppress it or it's going to eat you alive. So you have choices with it. So I invite them to take a walk around the building. I invite them to work with me. We do a little dance. We turn up some music, move the energy, right? Because listen, how are you going to solve it? Right? The
Yeah,
wisdom is going to be in the space between whatever happened and your reaction to that. But how do you get to the space? You're going to have to move it. You got to move it.
yeah.
So I invite them to move their body. We turn up music in the office. We actually have a pace around the office that they can take a loop on. So it's not something you would not hear from me.
So now I need to ask you,
Mhm.
is this something that has always been part of you, meaning kind of understanding how energy works, or is this something that you kind of started
No,
researching and
yeah,
studying? Okay, give me where
yeah.
that started.
I will say this. I've always been a very optimistic, happy. I have a
Mhm.
lot of energy.
Yeah.
How did I hone the energy, which is, I'm going to pop into this a little early, is discipline. I had to understand how it was affecting me, and
Hmm.
it was affecting me negatively. I would eat a lot and I would drink a lot to suppress all the feelings I had because I couldn't. I think I'm very passionate. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
if I'm happy or sad. I'm
Yeah.
passionate.
Yeah. Either way, you're either passionate
Yes.
about being angry or
Yes.
sad or happy, right? You
Yeah.
you
So I
kind
had
so
I,
I guess it's funny. Bill Foss from 2020 Vision, he does this thing with the pendulum. And he says that all day, right? We're kind of going in highs and lows, right? There's highs and lows of what's happening. But our goal as humans is to be somewhere in the middle,
that's
not
right.
always
That's
highs and
right.
lows. So keep
That's
going.
right. Well, that's it. And what I had to do was I do a lot of coursework, and I'm a reader. I think readers are leaders. Like, and
Agree.
I went after the answers for myself. Like, and I'm going to tell you it, I'm 53. It took me a long time to get that wisdom. I'm raising kids and running businesses. Like it's hard to wear all those hats and then also figure out how to have relationship with self. I got it at 50. I'm going to tell you. I mean, I
Oh,
had
so
this,
that was the moment that kind of it came to you. Got
my
it.
dad passed away young and
Oh.
I got it when I think turning 50, I went, holy shit,
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? And how are you taking care of yourself?
Yeah.
And it was just kind of tuning into self. And the more I tuned into myself, the more life opened up for me. Right. The more
And
life.
I'll tell you, Julie, and Christine and I have this conversation all the time, and you probably would agree to this. There is, and even the name of this podcast being Wednesday Wisdom, I think there is a wonderful time in our lives as we mature to realize the wisdom we've gained. We don't appreciate or realize it or understand it when we're in that, oh my God, having babies and trying to figure
Yes.
out careers and trying to get a soulmate and like all of this, right? And there is a beautiful time as we mature that we look at things very differently. So I know I appreciate, and I know Christine and I have had this conversation a million times, and it sounds like you're thinking the same way.
Yes, because you also become unapologetic. You accept your wisdom, right? Like that's what you just said. And I have now accepted that, wow, I've been doing this a very long time, and there's an innate knowingness that comes through me. It might not always be as graceful as I'd like it to be. That I'm still working on that piece, but because I'm pretty, you've experienced me, I'm all out there. I'm like, I'm not gonna wear
Hey,
dress pants.
the name of your company is Empire Home Loans, and I would think you were a New Yorker. So
I am a New Yorker, and in my heart.
I
Anyway,
feel it. I
yes,
feel it.
yes. I mean, so yeah, I think when you have integrity with self, for me, I had to earn that with myself. It didn't matter that I had success outwardly. I needed it inwardly. I needed
And there's
it.
a lot of people that
Well,
never get that.
that's
Just so you know.
that's a nugget, ladies, or
That
anybody listening.
if
like
there is a piece of advice, that's it right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Right. Being
All
your
right.
own
And speaking of
yourself.
that, I
Yes.
do want to get to your piece of advice. I want to
Yes.
get to what message that you have this wisdom every single day. You're getting to know yourself better. You have this self-awareness. You have this joy and love of self. And that, I mean, that's a whole nother playing field, right? When you get to actually having self-love, you have reached a point in your life where you could just give because you feel whole in yourself.
Yes.
So Julie, please, I'm enjoying this conversation so much. I mean, you've given so much wisdom already, but please give us, what is that message you would like to share with everyone?
So two little things, and they're not sexy. They're not I'm just going to say it's not fun. It's not sexy. Number one is embrace failure. I like to call it failing forward, because unless I fail, I personally do not learn the same way if somebody else fails. That's just me. Now, I don't need to go do it all the time because I'm a little bit smarter now, but it doesn't mean that I'm a loser and I'm wrong. And I'm so hard on myself as it is. Every time I would fail, I was just like, and I'm always looking to see what someone else is doing. But number one, fail forward, meaning fail in a way where you're learning and embrace it. Embrace it.
Yeah,
Stop
don't be afraid, right?
That's right. And don't resist it. Like being like in the middle of the tide, right? When you're resisting it, what happens? It's harder. But when you lean in a little bit, it gets a little easier with that wave, right? And the other one is, this is the hardest one for me, is embrace discipline. I'm a salesperson. I'm a natural salesperson. Flutter, flutter, flutter. No, not if you're going to run a business, not if you're going to have people counting on you, not if you need to show up every single day. You have to be disciplined. And I'm talking about with your brain, with your actions, with your word, with yourself, right? Everything requires discipline. I think without discipline, nothing works for me. That's because I'm so, I could be like,
shiny object.
oh my God. I could run my life without an assistant. I have not had an assistant working for Empire Home Loans. This is almost my 5th year.
Wow.
But I have discipline. So there's just certain things that have to have in my life, and that's discipline. So I think those two things have allowed me to grow a great, wonderful company with great, amazing human beings and find any level of success that I've had in the last few years. It's the discipline, you know? And again, it's not fun and sexy, but it's rewarding as hell. Like putting on a new size 8 pair of pants, for me. Are you kidding? And it was a discipline. It's discipline. I'm being honest, like that, shit, I was a 22 at one point in my life, right?
Wow,
So
congratulations.
it's just discipline. Like, and I think that at 53, I'm like, well, shit, I wish I would have had that in my 30s. Would I have heard it? I don't know.
But that, it's funny, even that conversation, I was just having this conversation with someone just yesterday, and I made that comment that I became more, seen in the mortgage industry in my 40s. And I remember saying, damn, I wish that was in my 30s, right? I would have rather have been this 30 or 35-year-old woman out there, right? And then I realized I wasn't ready. I
Right.
didn't know anything when
Well,
I
you
was
probably weren't the
35.
woman. Yeah, you weren't the woman you are now, right? Like, I'm now ready for that,
Now
right?
I'm ready.
Yes,
That's
yes.
right.
It all
So
comes in stages, right?
that's right. So
Yes.
you kind of have to, you don't know what you don't know, and the timing might not be when you think it's supposed to be. It's when you're ready for that. And you have to stumble and fall down and make some of those mistakes forward in order to know before you get to that next stage.
To earn it, to
Yeah.
earn it, like like just to gracefully accept it. Oh, I am enough, right? Oh, right? Like, and
Yeah.
a little asphalt on your face. I mean, for me, it did. It's taken a
Nothing
while.
wrong with that. Nothing wrong with some scrapes, some bruises. It's
Yeah,
okay.
I'm better off for it, and I can relate and have empathy for others because of that.
I agree with you about that. I mean, I remember a few times I've interviewed women, and I can think of the brokers off the top of my head. I remember who they are. And they told the story about how they went through bad credit and foreclosure during the
Totally.
subprime crisis. And they said that made them so much of a better originator because
Right.
they knew what that person was going through. They understood and had empathy and could relate. And it's true. How can we appreciate when we get to a certain level if we didn't go through the struggle and realize how hard it was? It just makes you more grateful for when
That's
we
true.
get here.
That's boom. You
Right?
just did that with a bow right there. That's perfect.
Way to wrap it up. Well, Miss Julie, this has been
Yep.
amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your time, your energy, your wisdom with all of us. We love you so much, and we wish you and Empire Home Loans continued success
Thank
for
you.
ages and ages to come.
Thanks for all you do. Thank you so much. We love you, Laura. Everybody
Pleasure.
loves you. Woo! Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.